We are scientists, engineers, and statisticians, explorers, dreamers, a crew that became a family, and as of this moment, victims of totally unwarranted wormhole aggression. The wormhole opens before us, around us, without warning. 1 minute, standard research vessel's existence. The next, a kaleidoscopic death tunnel of prismatic energy and destruction. An infinite expanse of darkness, light, euphoria, and pain condensed into an instant, then giving way to a deafness, stillness. Dim emergency lights flickering to life amid groaning bulkheads and sweaty metal. Most of the crew, including the captain, are dead, and critical systems are critically damaged. Scans show us to be in uncharted space with no point of reference on any horizon. We are tasked with studying the fringes of the universe. Those fringes just got fringier. So, in a way, we're super overachieving. Together, with only science and our faith in each other, we must survive whatever it is we discover out here. We are lost, utterly beyond help, but whether we're beyond hope is up to us. Hello everyone and welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and today we are going to start a playthrough of Unsettled. This game is a series of survival puzzles set in a bizarre and wondrous depths of the cosmos. I love how they say that. Essentially, it's going to be a survival game which we are likely not going to survive, but it's going to be fun trying. Now, what I'm going to do is, this is a little bit of a spoilery playthrough for Task A on this first planet, but each planet has 3 tasks. There's 2 in the base box, and you can buy 4 more of the planets. There's 6 planets total, each with 3 tasks, and I felt like it'd be nice to actually see how this works, because the rulebook actually is quite good, but sometimes it's hard to conceptualize how things are working, and I thought I'd show it here. Also, JPlay did a phenomenal playthrough of this. You can check out his video as well. I'll put it in the description below. I was fortunate enough to pick this game up secondhand, and I already have painted minis. Look at this. This is Luna. Luna is going to be one of our best friends. She's going to go out and scan for us, find lots of different things that we can try and collect, and she can help us potentially explore so we don't have negative effects. You can play this game between 2 and 4 players, so I'm going to be doing a 2-player solo version, controlling 2 astronauts. Let's go ahead and jump into setup, and then we'll start our playthrough. This game reminds me a lot of Time Stories in that you have a base part of the game that you're going to use every time you play, but then you're going to have different modules, but here there are planets that you're going to plug into that to play your game. So for our playthrough, we're going to do Task A of Wenora. So this is the first planet that they suggest you go and explore, and we're going to do Task A. There's 3 tasks per planet. You can see here this one has the least challenge on it. Now that doesn't mean that the scenario is easy. It just means that it deviates from the basic rules the least. So that's what they recommend you start with because it'll get you familiar with the rules. Each planet will have their own rules that will modify the base game rules, and it'll come in this little pamphlet. You'll also get a little flavor text about the planet, so let's read that here. When we left Earth in search of a bizarre, wondrous new worlds, this is exactly what we imagined. The circumstances are a bit more catastrophically on the verge of death than anticipated, but on the face of uncertainty is the essence of exploration. Strange, gargantuan fungal formations tower above us, swarming with alien creatures and dripping with bright liquids. Surfaces are covered in a mysterious powdery substance. The air is thick, almost gelatinous, and there's an uncomfortable abundance of toxic-looking tendrils and suction cups. It couldn't be more alien. It took almost an hour of low orbit scanning just to find a place to land, so dense is the fungal vegetation. With a world this full, it's impossible to imagine we won't find the things we need to survive. Whether those things kill us is another question entirely. Let's go touch some stuff. The main rule you need to know for this planet is the toxic spore clouds. So toxic spores cover the surface of the planet. Your movements will agitate them and stir up nasty fungal clouds. So when an explorer leaves a node, so a node is any of the exploration tiles that we have on the table, except for our ship's tile, it's not considered a node, but it's adjacent to it. So when we leave our ship, we're not going to have to worry about placing or having spore clouds. Outside of that, though, we will. So it states here, when an explorer leaves a node, add a spore cloud. It's going to be a black marker to the node they just left. When an explorer starts their turn, if there's a spore cloud in their node, they'll gain 1 distress. You can imagine distress isn't good. We'll see how that works as we play. Now, I'm just going to tell you right now, the stuff that's on the board is not in the exact correct place if you follow the rules, and that's just because of recording. We'll still talk about what needs to go into these locations, but just know that they'll be moving around for the playthrough so I can get most of the important things in the shots. So what we have here is our resource board. Our resource board has data, it has materials, and it has charge powers. It also has those black tokens that we're going to use to be our spore clouds. So I have all of these set up. These are in supply. If we ever gain them, they'll go into here. So we'll gain data here, materials here. When we charge up our power, it'll go to the positive side. All these resources are owned by the group. So if I collect data, it'll go here and anyone can use it. Right below this board, you normally place planet-specific cards and your environment cards, which are these tiles. Now, I've already set up the board for our specific task, so we have no environment cards here. And our planet-specific cards are just these hallucination cards. I just have them off to the side for recording purposes. I've made sure to shuffle them up, and we're ready to go. Here we have our breakthrough board. So whenever we have a breakthrough and we gain comprehension, we're going to take one of these comprehension tokens. There's one for each different type. We have robotics breakthroughs, chemistry breakthroughs, and engineering breakthroughs. We also have 3 buildings that we can make. These are the research hut, the laboratory, and the workshop. Luna also starts with a specific ability, and we have here soothing robotic voice. We'll see how that works in the playthrough. If you have any specific tokens for your planet that you're playing, which we do, I've placed over here. There's also a big one over here that doesn't fit. You also have cards from your planet that you're going to place here. These are all of your breakthrough cards, and they're going to match in color. You have an anomaly deck, which we've just shuffled up, and then we have our distress cards. Now, you're going to grab distress cards equal to the amount of players and then multiply it by 3. So I have 6 of these cards. That's important because if ever this runs out, then when we're supposed to grab a distress card, something else will happen. And of course, that something else is every explorer loses 1 endurance. I'm going to tell you that's really bad. So hopefully we don't run out of this deck. Here we have one of my favorite boards, the moment board. So up top, we have our 12 specific discovery tokens. That's specific to this planet. You also have your moment tokens. There are these huge tokens here that whenever you do an exploration on a specific space, you're going to place that in that location so you know where that opportunity exists. You have these tokens here, which are your investigated tokens. You can only ever explore each tile once. So when you explore it, you place it there to remind yourself you can't explore there again. And then you have your opportunity cards, and that's specific to your planet as well. You'll take that, shuffle it up, and split it evenly as you can between the 2 piles. Because whenever you do that explore action, you'll grab from one of these, flip the card over, leave it here, and then place this on the tile that you're at. It's a really nice way of being able to put things on tiles without interrupting the space. Next, we have our time and trust board. This is a very important board. Every time you do an action that has one of these symbols, your time is going to tick up as a group. And every time this goes around the track, everyone loses 1 endurance. And that's the main way you're going to lose the game. You also have trust. You need to trust each other while you're out here in space. You start off in the white space, which is the high trust. Then you can go to the low trust. And then if ever you go lower than that, what's going to happen is you have to have 2 different dice be decreased in focus by 1. And you'll see how that works in the playthrough. Conversely, if you ever go up and you can't go up anymore, you're going to distribute to positive focus so people can increase their dice by 1, 2 different people. Also, down here, you would have your task all set up. Once again, since I'm doing recording, I'm going to do it somewhere else. But you would normally have your 8, or I should say it's only 4 cards, but it's double-sided, little booklet for your tasks. You would have it right here. Speaking of which, let's take a look at our task A. We have early onset hangriness. I love the flavor text in this game. You can see here it's a 1 of 8, so you want to make sure to have all these in order from 1 to 8. And if we can complete everything that's on this, that's how we're going to win the game. The trauma of the wormhole event might be getting to us. The loss of most of the crew, critical damage to critical systems, and the really real reality that we're unlikely to ever see any of our loved ones again. Yeah, it's the little things that add up. So we're shaken. Our energy is low and no one has really been eating, which in some ways has worked to our advantage as our food stores are lacking. Yeah. We're not saying we recommend catastrophic banishment beyond the edge of existence as a diet plan, but we're not recommending it either. It's working for us so far, but soon the food thing is going to become a problem. Fortuitously, the long-range scanners uncovered this fungal jungle planet, absolutely seething with bizarre organisms. And, as scientists, if there's one thing we know about organisms, it's that they're often tasty. Much terribleness has transpired, but none of that can be undone. We still, through luck, fate, or providence, have this ship and each other, and that's going to have to be enough. It will be enough. And if it's not, we have Luna. So we're set. Let's go get some grub. Here we have page 2 of our task. We've already done our setup. The one thing I didn't mention is that we're only using one of the Swampy Quagmire cards. All the rest of them are out on the board. So that is something to note, that all 3 tasks are going to use the same environment cards, but you're going to have different objectives and all of that from what I understand. I will say this is the only scenario I've played, so I can't tell you what everything else is like, at least not yet. I'm excited to get to more. That's how much I'm enjoying this. We'll have the crew and Luna start at the Scarab, so we're all starting at the ship. Here we can see what our first objective is. You'll always be able to see what it is down here, and then you've got some flavor text to explain it. It's fungal out there. First impressions, sticky. Follow-up impressions, about the same. We need to deploy our mobile sign structures if there's to be any hope of us doing anything at all efficiently down there. So in order for us to progress through our task, we need to construct the laboratory, the research hut, and the workshop on open build sites. And what that means is we have to find locations where we can actually build them, and then we either have to have the correct comprehension to build them, or just spend additional time to build them out on the board. And you'll see that as we play. Once we complete this, we can advance by flipping this card. Let's now take a look at our 2 Explorer boards. This here is Sophie. That's what I'm going to name her. We've placed a token here to denote what we look like. Doesn't really matter. Sometimes you might need to place that somewhere on the board. I haven't really seen it, but what's important is you just grab one, you put it here. That's all you need to do. Our endurance, if we get down to here, we're unconscious. That's how we're going to lose. If both of us are unconscious, we're done. Over here, we have set our insight. Now, we can set this die to any side that we want, and it's going to determine where we're trying to gain our comprehension. I want robotic comprehension right off the get-go because I love upgrading Luna, so I have her on the blue side. Every time we can level this up, we're going to move it up, and then just like the time thing, once we get over the edge, we can flip it back over here, change to a different symbol, and then we gain a comprehension and a breakthrough card of that specific type. Kind of cool. I love it. That's how you level up in this game. And all of those breakthrough cards give you free actions, and those free actions can be used on anybody's turn, and it creates this cooperation that is wonderful. One of the best I've had in games in a long time. Over here, we have all of our actions that we can take. I'm not going to explain all of them, but essentially what you do is you're going to be taking your focus dice and placing them, and then depending upon where the arrow is, you're going to pip them up or down on your focus. And you always have to know that one of your dice, or they call them cubes because you don't generally roll these, has to be placed in the rest space. And you can see down here that has that time symbol. So every turn the time is ticking. This is a puzzle, and it is an efficiency puzzle. So when you play it, expect not to win right away. Maybe not that first time. You're going to learn a little bit about the area because you're not going to know the most efficient way to do it. And I will say, at least from what I've seen, I don't think that there's only one way that you can complete these puzzles, but you do have to be efficient. You can't be inefficient. Speaking of which, you'll want to grab 3 cubes for each of your players. And yes, I call them cubes, not dice, because generally they're not rolled. You have an awareness cube that's blue, a wonder cube that's green, an energy cube that's orange or just red. You're going to start each one with the 2 pip face up. And these are going to tick up and down every time that you use them. These 2 sides aren't used for anything other than to remind you which die type they are. So I'm going to start everyone at the 2 pip for our playthrough here. Finally, we get to choose a personality trait. This is also really cool. So each player randomly draws 2 of these. So I've drawn 2 here for Sophie. And you'll want to choose one of them, and they're going to modify one of your actions on your board. However, when the trust goes to the black low trust side, you actually flip it over and they get a different ability. So I have either Harmonist or I have Skeptic. You can see on this Skeptic here, when you place a focus, you're actually not going to increase or decrease the die, which is great. And you can gain one of any of these 3 things. So you can gain 1 data, you can power one of the power tokens up, or you can get some materials. Conversely, on the other side, you can, when you do an investigate, pursue an opportunity on your node, then you can actually increase your insight. I'm kind of leaning towards that one. This harmonist will cover up the recover action, which actually isn't too bad either. And it says if another explorer is in your node, you actually have to spend a time, but you can go here and power up one of your focus tokens. Normally, when you do that with the recover action, it actually decreases trust, but this is going to cover it up so that won't happen. Oh, that's kind of cool. And then harmonist on this side, you would flip it and cover your support spot. And it says distribute among local explorers. You can actually remove 2 distress and push up trust. Oh man, actually, I mean, this is cool. But this is cooler. I actually think from a cooperation standpoint, I like this one better. So I'm going to choose Harmonist for this time. That means I'll replace this basic recover action and put Harmonist here instead. And remember, if ever we go to the black trust, we'll flip it over and then that will cover up the support spot. So kind of cool how that works. Our second astronaut is going to be Chad. Hey, Chad. Chad is going to work on engineering for his first insight if he can. And just like Sophie, he has his 3 cubes here of focus all set at the 2s. His 2 options are empath here. So whenever he does the theorize action, he would move up his insight. And then for each of your distress, also gain 1 increase in your focus. That's kind of cool. And then over here we have, it would block or cover his support. Move a distress from another local explorer to yourself. That would increase trust and move over, the distress. Oh, that's kind of cool. Over here, oh, and by the way, it would increase his focus of that die that he uses. Over here, we have intellectual. This is his rest action. If he rests, oh, that's so cool. If he rests with his awareness die, he'll actually gain 1 insight. And then, of course, there's the still spending time. And then over here for the recover action, oh, he'd only recover a die by 2. It would push down trust, but he would also gain 2 insight. Nah. I think we're going to do this one. I like this one. That'll cover this space on his board. We also have 2 8-sided dice we'll use during the game to generate either data or materials, and we'll use Luna and her scanning abilities to do that. So here we can see the main actions and then all the free actions. I'm not going to go through all of those right now. The big thing to note is our main actions. So what we can do on our turn, we get 1 free move with the potential of doing another move if we use our actions on our board. We set 3 of our focus dice or cubes, and we have to do that. That's mandatory. And one of them has to be a rest. So really you get 2 actions a turn. You also can move Luna. Luna also can move at a base of 1, but that can change. And then you can have Luna scan her node. So that would mean we can roll one of these 2 dice and generate those resources on the node that then we can go there later and try and pick them up. Here we have the primary iconography for the game. It's actually really straightforward. It looks overwhelming at first, but it's simple. These are trust. Arrow up, it's going to go up. Arrow down, it's going to go down. Endurance, same thing, up and down. Gaining distress, you'll see a positive sign. Losing distress, you'll get a minus sign. I didn't talk about how distress works. When you gain a distress, you're going to draw a card from it, and then you have to cover up one of your action slots on your board. Ugh. For all the different resources we have, there's either a plus or a minus that tells you if you gain or lose one of those. Over here, this tells you if you increase or decrease focus. Remember, focus is the pips on here. The pips only matter because if ever you get to the 0 spot, which looks like this, you can still use this focus cube. But when you do, you have to spend time for whatever you're doing. Heck, if I put that in the rest space, it would bump up to a 1. But since I put it in at the time space and resting takes a time, I'd spend 2 time for that. So that's what the focus is used for. Over here, we have our resource scan. That's rolling our dice. If there's an X, it's impassable. That's telling you that the time passes. Ignore time. If ever you see that symbol, that means you're going to increase your insight in whatever type of comprehension you're going for. And then finally, these symbols tell you, okay, blue is awareness, green is wonder, and red is energy. With that, I think we're ready to just start. Let's just start playing, and I'll teach you as we go. Why don't we go ahead and start off with Sophie? We know what our goal is. We're trying to find places where we can build our 3 buildings. We're going to start off with Luna. We can always move Luna even if she's not on our space. So I'm going to have her move 1 space to here. So by doing that, we'll flip this over. Here we have the crystalline forest, and how cool does this look? Now, Luna is going to move on to this space, and you can see here there's no node edge specific symbols. So because of that, and because it was Luna, nothing happened. If Luna had moved from here to, let's say, this tile, she would not have to have this effect happen to her. But if we did, we would have to move time by 1, but we also increase our insight by 1. So sometimes we actually want to go certain ways, but the nice thing with exploring with Luna is if there's something bad here, we would know what it is. Now I'll just tell you, for this first tile, it didn't even matter because this is the only tile we can go to. You can only move orthogonal in this game. You can also see here that on this tile, we can build one of our structures here. Sweet. So what I think I'm going to do, we're going to use our first move action for Sophie, and she's going to move to here. Her movement is 1, so she's done with her movement. Now, she could use the action on her board to move a second time. But I think we're going to just start off right off the get-go and start working on this objective. Before we build a structure, I think we're going to do our investigate action. I like to see what we can find on these tiles. So I am going to use our wonder die. You can see here there's a wonder benefit since we're using a wonder die. So I'm going to put it here and then track it down or tip it down to the 1 focus. Because we used our wonder die, we also get to increase our insight by 1. I could have used any of our focus dice for that, but if I had used these two, that ability would not take place. The effect of doing the investigate action is we can now pursue an opportunity on our node. We can choose either opportunity we'd like to do. Let's go ahead and choose this left one. We'll flip it over. We're also going to place this on the tile that we're on, as well as one of these explored tokens to say we've already done an investigate here. We can't investigate at this space again. Well, you know what we found? A winged fungal bean. You come upon a fungal creature at rest on a waxy pedestal. When you step forward, spiked vines erupt violently from the ground, crashing together to form a vicious, spherical cage around it. Then another such vine skewers you in the chest. You begin to float away. As the pedestal fades from view, you see the vines retract. Immediately, each local explorer, and that would be anyone that's on this tile, so that would be Sophie, each local explorer must place themselves on an adjacent revealed node. Okay, so there are no adjacent revealed nodes, so I'm going to say she has to move back to the scarab, which stinks because when we move off of that node, we're going to have to place a fungal spore. Over here, we can see we can do an action. Must be present would be Luna. As long as Luna is present, we can place one of our focus here, and we have a non-organic extraction. We would gain this winged fungus, which would gain us also an anomaly, which is a one-time strong effect that we don't know what it is, but we'll draw to find out. And we gain 2 insight. However, right now, Sophie is going to increase her insight by 1, so she'll move up to here, and then we're going to push her back to the scarab. Well, that was really nice. I had a plan, and of course, that didn't work so well. So we've been pushed back here, and now we're going to have to put a spore here. Remember, if you start your turn on a location that has a spore, you're going to gain a distress, and that's going to block one of your action spaces. Also, something with this scenario is if you gain 2 distress or more, you also have to draw a hallucination card. Yeah, those are kind of interesting. We'll just put it that way. They sometimes can be good, sometimes can be bad. Now, what I'd love to do is that non-organic extraction, because we would gain an anomaly, and we have Luna right here. However, you can never interact with an in-the-moment opportunity unless you're on the node itself, and we're most certainly not on that node. So that's not going to happen. I think the next thing we're going to do is scan with Luna. Now, you can scan for either data or materials. If there's already data sitting out here, you can't scan for data. If there's materials already out on that tile, you can't scan for materials. I'm going to do data this time. I'm going to roll this up, and this tells us we're going to have 2 data that's sitting on this tile. What we can do later is try and actually collect that data, and then we can use it for different effects. Sophie's next focus action, she's going to theorize. This is going to pip down her awareness die by 1, but once again, because she's using that awareness die, she can increase her insight by 1. If we used a different die, we wouldn't be able to do that effect. We also have another explorer gains 1 insight. This means Chad over here will increase his insight by 1. Finally, we'll place our power die here in rest because we have to. We'll actually tick it up, so now it's at the 3 space, but now we need to spend 1 time. And then to show that you're done with your turn, you'll reset all of your focus up on top of your player board. Let's move our time 1 space. Chad will be next to activate, and you can see on his tile, we do not have any spores, so he does not gain a distress. He's going to use his one free move to move here. Let's go ahead and take advantage of this opportunity here. Let's extract this non-organic bean. We'll take this down to a 1, and we'll gain this winged fungus at the end of our turn. We're also going to increase our insight by 2. That puts us only 2 away from gaining some engineering comprehension. I don't particularly want to end my turn on this tile simply because I don't want to gain a distress if I don't have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Luna. I'm going to have Luna actually move this way. I know that if I move this way, I might have to spend some time, but I can also increase my insight. So let's see what's over here. Are you serious? This is awesome. We've already found a second build site, the Field of Hover Blossoms. I love how this looks. Look at these things. Can you just imagine them, what they would look like in real life floating around? And you can see here there's no additional edge node effects. So if we do move, all we'll have to do is spend a time and we'll gain 1 insight. Since Luna is here, let's have her scan for some materials this time. We get a 2. So we're going to place 2 materials down. Eventually I should pick this stuff up, but we'll get there. We'll then use our energy die here to traverse so we can move a second time. It says move and or carry a local explorer 1 node. So if only Sophie was on that tile, we could actually carry her with us. Since we used our energy, we can pump up our insight, which is nice, and we can move 1 space. I'm also then going to do this right now and pump this up to a 3 because I'm going to use it to rest. So that was our awareness. And then I'm going to recover all 3 of my focus cubes. And we'll gain this and an anomaly, and then discard this opportunity card. Let's go ahead and traverse, so we're going to move to the Field of Hover Blossoms. That means we'll gain 1 insight, but we have to spend another time. With 1 more insight, we'll actually gain a comprehension in engineering. And then we'll pick, chemistry this time. Before I forget, we'll tick up our time 2 spaces, 1 because of our move, and 2 because of our rest. We'll grab 1 engineering comprehension and slot that on our board. That's important for later. And we're going to draw a breakthrough in engineering card. Let's see what this is. This will be a free action that we can use each turn. And this is pretty dang cool. We can spend 1 positive energy to make it negative to be able to attempt long-range node swap. Roll the blue die, data die, to determine your range. You may swap places with Luna if she's within that range. Limit once per turn. Whoa, that's so cool. So we could even do that when it's not our turn, because remember, that's a free action. Also, because we completed that opportunity, I get to draw an anomaly card. This also is a one-time effect, can be used at any time. However, what is important to note is you see this up here. This means that we're now considered a fungal host. So any card that has one of these gold bars up here and has words, that gives us we've now become a host of some sort of fungal thing, which is this winged fungus, I guess. There's no direct ability because of that, but it might affect cards or things that we reveal. It'll ask us, are you a fungal host? We are. So this card says absorb pearlescence. We can discard, and we discard this card plus the thing that we just found, that winged fungus, to remove 1 spore cloud from your node and or from an adjacent node. So, and we can do 2 of them. However, in order for us to actually use this, we need to have some chemistry comprehension. And right now, no one has chemistry comprehension. I'm working on it, but I don't have it. And when it says must be present, what's cool about this game is even if I don't have engineering comprehension, but I'm in a local space of another player that does, it counts. So especially if you're playing with multiple players, that can be super helpful. If you've got people that, you can get them in the same space, and even if they don't have this, if it's in their space, they can use this ability. Now, you may have noticed when Chad left this space, I didn't place another one of these spore clouds, and that's because you only need 1 in each space because they do the same thing. You don't get multiples in a space. And he hasn't left this tile, so that's why we don't have one here. Sophie will activate next, and she'll use her free move to move back to here. We're also going to use Luna's move, and let's have Luna move here and reveal this environment card. And we have the Bleeding Clathrus Grove. Look at this thing. Now, once again, we can ignore these edge node abilities because it's Luna. And you can see here, when entering, if you don't possess the fungal host, you actually gain one of the distress cards. So that means Chad would actually be safe to move here, but Sophie right now would not. Sophie's going to go ahead and build a laboratory in her space. She's going to use her awareness die to do this. Unfortunately, though, it's going to be ticked down to the time. So next time we use that, we're going to have to spend a time to use that die. We either have to have some chemistry comprehension, or we have to spend a time to build it. I don't have chemistry as one of our comprehensions, so I think I'm just going to build it by spending a time. So we're spending one time to do this, and we'll place this out at the end of the turn. You don't get to place it out now because you need to leave the focus cube on there. We're already almost done with our first time round on here. I almost forgot with Luna, we definitely want to roll a die here, and we have 2 data that we can place in this space that we could potentially mine if we ever get to doing that. For our second focus, we're going to use our energy die, ticking it down, but that does mean, because we're using the energy die, we can increase our insight by 1, and we can move 1 space. I don't want to end my turn here where there's these fungal spores, so I'm going to go ahead and move here because there's no negative effect. I have no idea if there's a negative effect here. There is time, but there's also insight, which is great. So we'll move on to here. This is our Anthozoic Forest. Oh, I love it. We can also put a die here, and you can see it says Find Respite. So we can relax here and actually increase one of our focus dice by 1 by going here. We'll increase our insight and advance the time. Moving time up 1 more space, that means when we do our rest action, we're already going to lose 1 endurance. Yeah, I'm not doing so great right now. At least this means that we'll gain some comprehension in robotics. And I think I'm actually going to leave it in that. No, I don't know, because we'll have 1 of each at this point. What do I want? Maybe, let's do some more chemistry. Let's grab one of our robotic breakthroughs, and we'll grab one of the comprehension tokens to remind ourselves. Let's see what our breakthrough is. We can spend a data to deploy a mini tractor beam. Luna pulls an explorer from an adjacent node onto her node, ignoring all node edge symbols. That's what I'm talking about. We'll end our turn by placing our wonder die here, ticking it up. That will mean, though, unfortunately, the time is going to pass, and I'm just going to tick this down. Our other player, Chad, also is down by 1 on endurance. As they say, time waits for no one. We'll take all 3 focus cubes and put them back next to our player board, but now we get to build our laboratory. And our laboratory is going to be placed here, and it has a special ability that we can all use for the rest of the game. And what's great about it is we can use it from anywhere on the map itself. We can spend 1 materials to increase the focus on any die. You can imagine I'm probably going to want to do that for this awareness die for Sophie. Otherwise, we're just going to eat time like it's candy. So let's move now to Chad's turn. Chad is currently on a space with 2 materials that he could collect. What he's going to do is do the Unearth Materials action, and he's going to use his awareness, or wonder die, I should say, that will tick it down to the time symbol, but because he's using the wonder die, he actually will gain 1 extra of those tokens. So normally you'd only gain 1 materials if you used a focus die. He's going to gain 2. And then he's immediately going to use both of those to activate the laboratory. And he's going to tick up this die by 1, as well as Sophie's die by 1 here for her awareness die. So that way we don't have too many of those time symbols showing. He'll then use his awareness focus to build this workshop, ticking it down to a 2. Now, he needs to have engineering comprehension, or he has to spend a time. He has engineering comprehension, so we don't have to worry about that. We have what we need. At the end of this turn, we've already built our second structure. His energy focus he's going to use to rest. He'll power it up a little bit, but he'll use 1 time. We'll move our time marker 1 space, but we're not done. First of all, we haven't even moved yet. Second of all, we can also move and use Luna. As much as I don't love the idea of spending more time, I do think I'm going to move off of the Field of Blossoms. I'm going to move over here to the Bleeding Cathris Grove. I am a fungal host, so I don't have to worry about that effect, but I'm going to increase my insight by 2. Unfortunately, another time has been spent. That means we're already halfway through our second set of time. 2 insight, though, is nothing to scoff at. We're already almost having a comprehension in chemistry. Luna is in a space with data, but she does not have any materials there, so we're going to have her scan for that. One materials. I was hoping for more than that. Oh well. We have one materials here. We'll have to spend the time to pick it up before she can find more. And then we'll go ahead and have her move to this tile. Whoa! This is the necrotrophic floating jellies. It has good node edges, so we should be able to move here no problem. You can actually go here to remove all your distress. Now, we've done a good job of avoiding it so far. That probably won't happen forever, but so that's good to know that we have that. However, you have to decrease your focus by 2 in order to do that. We'll recover our 3 focus cubes, and now we have our workshop. What we can do with our workshop is from anywhere on the board, we can propel Luna. We can spend 1 power to move her 1 space. Moving to Sophie's turn, let's go ahead and investigate our space, taking this down to a 1 for our awareness die and increasing our insight by 1 because that's the die that we're using. We'll grab one of the explored tokens as well as the in the moment token to show which tile this is happening. And let's draw from that right side this time. And we have mucilaginous sponges. Oh my gosh, what a name. We'll put the sponge trumpets here. Without warning, as far as you can see, thick, spongy polyps push up through the soil. In mere moments, they grow to 1 meter in height and then burst, spilling a syrupy mucus that bubbles as it quickly absorbs into the ground. They are within easy reach should you feel inclined to touch, which of course you do. Immediately, if able, we're going to power up 2 power tokens. Nice! What we can do with power tokens is we can use our breakthrough ability from Chad, but we can also use our laboratory to move Luna around more. Since this opportunity did not push us out of our tile, we can actually deal with it now, and we're going to use our energy die. We'll take it down to 1 focus, but that means we can increase our insight by 1, 2, 3, and we're going to gain this and an anomaly at the end of our turn. Increasing our insight by 3, 1, 2, 3 means we're only 1 away from leveling it up. We'll then have to spend our 3rd action here resting, powering this up, and increasing our time by 1. We'll move this up 1 space, and I think we're just going to do some Luna actions and then call it for Sophia's turn. We're going to have Luna find some more materials. How about just 1, because I seem to be terrible at rolling that die. And then we'll have her explore this tile that's next to Sophie. And oh, beautiful, we found another build site. This is the monolithic spore pillars. Look at this art. I absolutely love it. I can't get enough of it. I think they did a great job of kind of showing you what this planet looks like in my mind. We'll recover all 3 of our focus cubes and move to Chad's turn. Of course, not before we draw an anomaly card. And we have rare polymers. Now you need to have engineering in your space in order to use this. Close eyes and detonate. You'd have to discard it and decrease a focus by 1, but then you can charge the power to maximum. Whoa, that's kind of cool. So we'll put that with the sponge trumpets. And I should mention that if ever you're in the same space as another one of our explorers, you can trade any of these items. The only thing you can't trade is your personality traits and of course your comprehension. For Chad's turn, we'll first scan with Luna. Oh my gosh, finally 3 materials. From there, let's have Luna scan this way since I don't really want to go this way because of the time. Okay, what do we have? Another build site. We have glowing lichen caves. Look at that art. Okay, that place I don't think we're going to need to go to because I already have a plan of where I want to place my final build site. What I probably should be doing is gathering some of these materials or analyzing some data, but instead I'm going to go ahead and investigate because, that's what I like to do. We'll use our Wonder Focus die to do this so we can also power up our Insight, but I need to make sure that I can get that off of that time symbol, otherwise the next time I place that I'm going to be wasting time. We found a temporal spore cloud. A spore cloud envelops you and your mind is pulled in thousands of directions at once. You are everywhere and nowhere, popping from one environment to another before returning to your body and collapsing to the ground where you lay, dazed. Coming to, you believe you could re-enter the cloud and grab something with potential. The active explorer immediately can increase their focus by 1 on 2 different dice. That is what I'm talking about. We'll pop this back up to a 1 and this up to a 3. I think Chad, without a doubt, will nosedive right back into this spore cloud. He's going to use his awareness focus, going down to a 2, collect this Myxograstia ball. That's awesome. And increase his insight by 2, which is also going to be just enough to gain another comprehension. We'll gain some chemistry comprehension, and I think it's time for us to go to data. We'll grab one of the comprehension tokens. The max amount of comprehension you can have is 4. You can always gain a 5th and then choose which one you want to discard, but that also means that you can gain a 5th breakthrough, but then you have to discard one. So the max you can have is 4. Let's grab one of these, and at the end of our turn, we'll get to see what this anomaly is. We have vacuum up fine particles. We can discard this, and all explorers within one node can remove one distress card. We have been able to avoid distress cards so far, but that won't last forever. We also have drink reeking sludge. Either you gain 3 increases in your focus, or another local explorer gains 2 insight. Wow, that's amazing. And it's limit once per turn, and it only costs us 1 materials. We need to get some materials. I need to start working on that. That final action we have to do is our rest. We're going to tick up our time. I'm also going to grab all 3 of my focus dice back. We've got a 3, 2, and a 1. And time will tick away. All right, now back to Sophie's turn. First thing that Sophie, or Sophia, because I seem to call her either one, is going to do her free move. She's going to move to here. Oh, wait, before we do Sophia's turn, or Sophie's turn, I am going to move, I think. I'm going to move 1 space to here because we do get 1 free move for Chad. Okay, now we're going to go to Sophie's turn. Sophie is also going to move right off the get-go. She's going to move over to the monolithic spore pillars, and then she is going to build the final structure. We have comprehension in robotics, so because of that, this will not cost time. We could use any of our focus dice. I'm just ending up using my awareness die to build it. We'll put it out at the end of the turn, and then we'll progress to the next part of our task. The next action we're going to take is unearth some of these materials. This is going to get ticked down to here, but since we're using our wonder die, we gain 2 of these. And I think we've got to use them right away. I don't want to, but I'm going to. I'm going to use, well, I'm going to use at least 1 using that laboratory to take this back up to a 1. And I think actually for right now, we'll leave it like that since we can always do it as a free action any other time. I almost forgot, with that move, we had an edge node that would let us increase our insight by 1. So we're going to do that, and we're going to move to engineering, but we gain 1 chemistry breakthrough and 1 chemistry comprehension. We'll grab our chemistry breakthrough and a comprehension token. We have ingest pearlescent slurry. I love the names. An explorer currently within 1 node may ignore time symbols on node edges for the remainder of this turn. Once per turn. Once again, we need materials. We need so many materials. Our third die, of course, we will have to use a rest, increasing the focus by 1, but using some time. The next time that we spend is going to hit our endurance a second time. Let's then activate Luna. Let's have her move to this tile, and we have another build site. This one's called Viscous Egg Pools. Oh, that looks cool. We'll have her scan. She finds, of course, 1 material. Sophie will bring her 3 focus cubes back, and now we also get to build our third and final structure, the research hut. We can now spend 1 data anywhere on the board to increase insight by 1 for anyone. So awesome. And yet, how much data do I have? 0. We have, though, completed our objective. Let's flip our card. We have Rumble in the Fungal. So, a massive embryonic sac has spawned in a nearby swamp, which, you know, good for it. Help yourself, sac. Except now it's churning out crawly, tentacled creatures. We're not sure we like that. However, Luna determines that the tiny tentacled creatures feed on toxic protozoans within the spore clouds, which is great because those are becoming a problem. Also, the tentacles are very, very sticky, which seems pretty on brand for this place. Place the cephalopod nest token on the swampy quagmire node, then stack all 11 tentacle tokens in a grotesque heap on top. Tiny tentacles feed on spore clouds. We would like there to be less spore clouds so our suit's filtration system doesn't fail. It's a good thing we're scientists and can connect these dots. When an explorer leaves the node adjacent to the cephalopod nest by any means, a tiny tentacle sticks to them. Place a tiny tentacle in their inventory. When an explorer with a tiny tentacle enters a node with a spore cloud, This part is actually FAQ'd. You do not gain distress when you enter it. It's only if you start, okay? But then it says, if you do enter a node with any of the spore clouds and you have a tiny tentacle, replace the black spore cloud marker with the tiny tentacle token. Place the remove spore cloud marker onto a box of this card. You can see we need to have 4. Spore clouds cannot spawn on nodes containing tiny tentacles because they're going to eat them. We must deliver tiny tentacles to 4 spore clouds to consume them. When consumed, move the spore cloud marker here. We have our nice looking sack right here with all of our tentacle tokens. Ooh, right here. We need to get to this tile, move away from it. When we move away from this tile, we'll actually claim one of these and then move to a place that has one of these black spore tokens, fungus spore tokens, and we can remove them. We need to remove 4 of them to complete this objective. Shouldn't be terrible. It's Chad's turn now. The first thing I think we're going to do is move Luna. We're going to move Luna over to this tile. We have here an electromagnetic polypore maze. When entering this place, if you possess rare polymers, which I don't think he does. No, you know who does? Sophie does. So if Sophie enters here, she'll get 2 charges. That's kind of cool. Let's roll again for some materials. Oh, you can't see that, but that is a 2. So at least we have 2 materials here, and I might have an idea. Let's try to attempt a long-range node swap. Roll the blue data die to determine your range. You may swap places with Luna if she's within that range. In order to do that, though, we have to use 1 power. And remember, we can only do that once a turn. We're looking for a 2 or a 3 for data. Oh my gosh, that's a 3 because we are 2 spaces away. So we can swap with Luna. Now, I still think that we would place one of these spore tokens here. That would be my guess. Then, because I am standing here where there are 2 materials, let's do that unearth action. We're going to use our wonder die, and it's going to go down to the time symbol. That's okay. We now have 3 of these, and I have a plan, but let me finish my turn first. I'm then going to move my 1 space for free and move here, grabbing one of these tentacles and putting it onto my board. From there, I'll use my energy die, and I'm going to move 1 additional space. And because I'm using my energy die, I will increase my insight by 1. I'm also going to be able to increase my insight by a second one because of an edge node, which you'll see in a second. Moving to this space will allow me to drop our first tentacle here, and it's going to eat up that fungus that's among us. That's our first one out of 4. Then I'm going to use 1 of the 3 materials that I have to drink some reeking sludge. I'm going to gain 3 increases to my focus, so all 3 of my dice are going to be increased by 1. The only bad part is that my awareness, which I have to rest with, is now at max. But I will totally take that. The most important die is this one right here. And then finally, I have to rest, which is going to hit both of our endurances. I'm going to knock them both down by 1. And I need to remember that I moved out of a space and I didn't put a spore cloud there. We'll have to place a spore cloud in this location, which means that Sophie is going to take a distress right at the beginning of her turn. Nothing that I can do about it. The nice thing is we've got another spore cloud that we can have these tentacles eat up. So I'm okay with that. And I finally get to show you distress. Because we spent that 1 time, and that's why we decreased our endurance, I've moved our time marker back over. Okay, that's going to end our turn. And now, thanks to Chad, we're going to gain our first distress card for Sophie. Now, I'm assuming with many of the other planets, these distress cards might have different abilities. All the distress cards for this planet are the same. You become infected. First thing that's going to happen is trust is going to go down by 1. The moment you have 2 or more distress, draw a hallucination card. Also, what's important to know is that at any time you can decrease your focus on one of your dice by 1 to move this around on your player board, because you're going to see this is going to cover up a space on my board. Theorize hasn't been used much, so I'm just going to place this here to block that. So now we can't go there. Let's now decrease our trust. Since we don't trust Chad as much, we'll move to the low trust space. Thanks, Chad, for the fungus. Because we now have low trust between the group, I'm going to flip over our personalities, and now we become a harmonist. We have the support ability that we can distribute among local explorers, removing up to 2 of the distress cards and increasing our trust by 1. For Chad, since he wasn't really using empath anyways, we're going to put this in the support spot. It says move a distress from another local explorer to yourself and increase trust. Wow, we've got great ways to do trust. And this increases focus. Cool. You know, Chad was really terrible at showing where he actually messed around with the spores. He moved out of this space, so we should have a black token there as well. So for Sophia's turn, the first thing she's going to do, do we want this? No, we don't. We're just going to move. We're going to leave it. Moving into here, though, because we found this, what was this? This is the sponge trumpets. They are a rare polymer. So we now have that scientific property. And since we are having that scientific property of rare polymers, we're going to be able to charge our power by 2 for entering that space, which is definitely going to be helpful for some of our abilities. Let's then have Luna go ahead and explore this environmental card. Whoa! This one is the Myxogastria Ball Pit. If you have rare polymers, this also will increase our power by 2. Oh man, I should just hold on to that. That's awesome. But look, it's got time. The only good thing about this way is we could increase our insight by 2. Let's go ahead and roll for materials. Oh, we also have 2 materials there. Now, I could totally be doing data, but I just like materials right now because I like the ability to increase my focus. Let's use our energy die here to traverse. We'll tip it down to a 1. We'll increase our insight by 1. We'll be able to move, which will give us a tentacle. And with moving, we'll drop that tentacle right here and remove our second fungal spore. Heck yeah, 2 down, 2 to go. Then I like investigating too much. We're going to do it as our second action. We're using our wonder die, so we're going to increase our insight by 1. Let's draw a card and see what we find. We have an intradimensional gel sphere. Everything goes eerily silent as an enormous, semi-opaque gelatinous sphere rolls by. Viewing the landscape through the jellied substance, you see things not otherwise present. Bizarre and beautiful vegetation visible at the center of the sphere that are not there before or after it rolls on. If you time it just right, you can reach into the sphere. I love this. Can you imagine it? Okay, what we get to do is immediately increase one of our dice, their focus. Yeah, we're going to definitely do our wonder die because it was at a 0. We'll place our moment token as well as our explored token here as well. Our final focus die use is just resting, tipping it up to a 2. That will increase our time by 1. We'll then gain all of our dice back. We have 1, 1, and 2 for focus, so not terrible, but not great. We'll move to Chad. Chad's in a good space. He has no fungal spores. His first action, he's definitely going to move 1. And now it's the question of, and are there any? Yeah, he will increase his, sometimes it's hard to remember this. He will increase his insight by 1. That's not bad. 2 away from gaining comprehension in robotics. Then I think it's time to drink some reeking sludge. However, we're going to do the bottom effect. Another local explorer gains 2 insight. We'll discard one of those materials to do that. And Sophie is now 1 away from engineering comprehension. Our first focus die action is we're going to reach into the sphere. We're going to grab this hover blossom and we're going to gain 2 insight. That'll push us up over the edge, and I think I'm going to stay on the data side. And of course, by data, I mean robotics, but I kind of want all of these robotic breakthroughs if I can. It now seems we have a good reason to get some data. Look at this. Deploy robotic sidecar. An explorer on Luna's node may move wherever Luna moves, ignoring all node edge symbols. This effect can begin or end mid-move. So if Luna's moving multiple spaces, you could drop that person off. We'll then use our energy die here, taking it down to a 2, but increasing our insight by 1 to traverse. And then I'm going to have to do this one for resting, moving up to 2. We'll push up that time 1 space. And I'm not entirely sure if this is worth it, but I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to move 1 space here, and I can bring 1 other explorer with me. Now, if I bring Sophia, she's going to take another distress. She's going to get a hallucination card. That's not great, but A, I kind of want to show it to you. And B, that means now, though, when it's her turn, she can move away and immediately get a 3rd one of these, which I feel like might be worth it. But we are going to take, well, first of all, a focus hit because we're going down on our trust. Yeah, and I want to show you the hallucinations because they're kind of awesome. Oh, wait, we can be smart if we'd like to. We have not moved Luna. So let's move Luna here. I definitely want to put some data in this space. How about 2 data? Oh, I was totally going to have Luna move one of our explorers. Here's the problem. How much data do I have? 0. Because what have I been collecting? Materials. Ah, darn. Wait, I have an idea. I'm going to go ahead and discard this fungal host card. Now, I'm no longer going to be a fungal host, which may or may not be a good thing. I do have chemistry as comprehension, so I can do this. Remove one spore cloud from your node and or from an adjacent node. I'm just going to remove the one from our node because I want other ones close to us so we can turn them into those tentacles. So I'll discard this. It's a one-time effect, but that's going to save Sophia from taking another distress. Well, and that actually worked out because our new anomaly is the exact same thing. So we're a fungal host again, and we got that with our Hoover Blossom. That means for Sophia's turn, what she can do for her first action is she can analyze some data. She's going to analyze both of these data. She can do this by ticking down her die from 2 to 1 here, and since it is the awareness die, she gets to do 1 extra data. I also need to remember, since we have rare polymers, since she entered this tile, she gets to do this effect. So we get to power up 2 more of our charges. And that's great because we can use those to move Luna all around. Let's have Sophia ingest some pearlescent slurry. An explorer currently within one node may ignore time symbols on node edges for the remainder of this turn. So we're giving up 1 materials. I think we have 2 left. And by 2, I mean 1. We only have 1 left. But I'm planning on now using my 1 free move to move here. I'm going to gain 2 insight and no time loss. Plus, I get to power up the last bit of charges that I need. We'll gain that charge. Woohoo! And with 2 insight, we'll move 1, 2. And I think I'm going to stay on the engineering side. I want 2 engineering comprehension. We'll grab one of the comprehension tokens and we'll grab an engineering breakthrough. We gained the Discharge Hormonal Blast. An explorer within one node of you may take a standard traverse action for free. Thanks. I love that. And you know what? I think we're going to use that. And the reason is we're going to have to place another fungal spore right here. Now, we should have had Sophia gain 1 of these tentacles because she moved 1 space away. But we're going to spend 1 charge so that our good friend here, Chad, can also move 1 space away. We're going to have him move over here. That will mean he also will gain 1 of these tentacles. We still have this here, but now he can move back there to drop off the 4th tentacle if we need. We had to discharge 1 of our power to do that ability. We're then going to use our awareness die here, taking it down to the time symbol to gain both materials that we have in our space. We're then going to immediately use 1 of those materials to tick this back up because we have our laboratory. We're then going to use 1 of these data tokens to activate 1 of our other special abilities. Gosh, I love this game. This one's called Deploy Mini Tractor Beam. Luna pulls an explorer from an adjacent node onto her node, ignoring all node edge symbols. I'm a little sad about that part because I would love more insight, but that's going to bring me back onto a tile with that fungus that we can get rid of. So here we are, starting here, moved off over to here, helped our good friend Chad to also move. Then we're having Luna pull us back on. That's also going to recharge our only power that we discharged from before. So we're now back at full charge for Luna. And we're going to drop this tentacle token here and remove our 3rd out of 4 of those spore clouds. But we'll have to put a cloud here because we just left this tile. We're then going to have some fun, I think. Chad is going to activate Deploy Robotic Sidecar. This is our last data. An explorer on Luna's node, which right now is Sophia, and by the way, it's Sophia's turn. Sometimes it's hard to remember that, may move whenever Luna moves, ignoring all node edge symbols. This effect can begin or end mid-move. If my calculations are right, which I believe they are, Luna has not moved yet. So Luna's going to move here, and we're going to go ahead and have Sophia be brought with. Well, Sophia just left this tile, and she's going to drop this token here and clear out the final fungal token. Yes. All right, let's move on with our task. When all 4 boxes are filled, discard the markers and advance. We have Welcome to the Fungal. So the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to increase our trust. We'll move from black over to high trust. We're feeling good. We're feeling good. Remember what that means. Our abilities are going to flip over, and I'm sorry I haven't really been using them, but they just haven't really been in the right spot. It just happens. Good news. The spore clouds appear to be under control thanks to those tiny tentacles. Other news. Tiny tentacles aren't really a thing anymore because the nest has matured into a teeming swarm of giant tentacled tears. Return all of the tiny tentacle tokens, say that 10 times fast, back to the nest. They have now grown into giant tentacle tears that no longer feed on spore clouds and no longer have our respect. Oh great. At the start of every single turn, place a tentacle token on the node adjacent to the nest. Then move all tentacles not on the nest 2 spaces towards the nearest explorer. In case of a tie, they move towards the tied option who will be next or currently is active. If a tentacle tear reaches an explorer, it secretes its brain venom and explodes, causing 1 distress to that explorer. Return that token to the nest. Oh no. We've got fungal games. Right, enough of this. It's time to get real about getting food and getting out. Obtain 6 materials from nodes using the unearth action, placing them in the boxes below. You may not use materials already in the stockpile. Really? Once the boxes are filled, you may process them at the laboratory with the appropriate comprehensions present. Okay, we all have that. Actually, all 3 of us have all 3 comprehensions. So either one of us can do this. When the focus cube is removed from the process edibles action, discard the materials and advance. So we need 6 materials. That means we need to get Luna in places that she can do that materials search. We need to grab it. We need to bring it to the laboratory, do that action, and then go to card 8. Well, this isn't very nice of those tentacles. We're going to have to be getting materials, and we can't even use it to increase our focus on our dies. However, Sophia's turn is not complete. We can still move Luna with using some of our energy, and I think we're going to do that. We're at least going to move 1 space. You know, if I think about it, if we can move 2 spaces, it might help us a little bit. So I'm going to move 2 spaces, carrying along Sophia over here. That means we had to use 2 of our energy tokens or power tokens in order to do that. And I'm going to have to end my turn placing my energy focus here, resting, going up to 2. I don't think I've done that. If I have, I'm sorry. It's hard to remember with everything going on. That means we'll move our time marker 1 space forward. Okay, we're going to start Chad's turn, and he is going to get his brain attacked by one of these tentacles. The reason I say that is 1 will spawn here, and then it's simply going to move into his space, and it's going to cause him a distress. I should also mention we needed to place a spore cloud back here because we moved out of this tile, and there's no longer a tentacle there protecting us. We know every distress card pushes down our trust by 1. We'll now flip all of our personality traits to the black side. Well, we're for sure not going to be doing the recover action because that's going to hit our trust. It pushes our trust down, and we're not going to be doing that because that will just hurt our focus, so I don't want that. Let's start off with Luna. Let's simply have Luna move here. Come on, give me 2 or 3. Oh, beautiful. That was a 2. I don't know if you saw that, but we rolled a 2 for materials. So I'm going to put 2 here. That means we're definitely going to move into this space. And yeah, the tentacles can still reach us there. So I think I want to save a move. First thing I know I want to do is go to unearth materials. I'm going to push that down to a 1, and I'm going to collect those 2 unearthed materials and place them on to my task. So that's 2 out of 6 that I need. Then I'm going to use my vacuum and fine particles. All explorers within one node, which includes Sophia, are going to discard 1 of these distress cards. Thank you very much. I think we're going to discard this card as well so that we can remove 1 fungal cloud from Sophia's space. Otherwise, she's going to start with the distress as well. We'll remove that fungal cloud right here. Next, I think I'm going to take that traverse action. I'm going to power up my insight, and I'm going to do my rest. So I'm going to increase for our time as well. I'm going to move myself right here. That means I have to place a fungal cloud here, and time, of course, is going to continue to tick. We'll return our focus to end our turn. That means 1 of these tentacles is going to come out, moving 2 spaces, 1, 2, trying to get closer to Sophia. It's Sophia's turn, and I think the first thing we're going to do... And there is one thing I did forget to do. I forgot to increase time and increase our insight because we moved from here to here. So let me adjust that. We're now 1 away from losing 1 more endurance. But I'll take the insight. Why the heck not? Let's start off with Luna trying to scan for some materials. Oh, gets a 3. We'll place all 3 here. That means we'll for sure move here for our one free movement, increasing our insight by 1. I like that. I'm not going to complain. Should we grab 2 more materials? Why the heck not? So we'll go here grabbing these 2. We're going to put them on our task. We only need 2 more. And of course, don't forget our fungal spore because it's very easy to forget that. We're then going to use our discharge hormonal blast and explore within 1 node of you may take a standard traverse action for free. We're using that 3rd power, not bad. We're going to move ourselves over to this laboratory. That's going to increase our insight, but it's also going to hit our time. Hitting our time is going to hit our endurance. We're both going to move down to where we only have 2 more endurance. We'll move this insight up by 1. I still have a couple dice to use. One is going to have to be this rest action, so we'll go here and increase this by 1, and let's hit our time again. Don't we just love spending time? I'm also going to spend 1 materials to increase this by 1, so we don't have to worry next time when we use that die that we're going to hit our time. And for our final die, it's not great, but let's analyze some data. Because we're not using the correct die, we're using our energy die, we'll only gain 1 of the data in our space instead of 2. Okay, then we'll grab all of our focus dice back. Yeah, 2 1s and a 2. Not wonderful, but not the end of the world. At the start of Chad's turn, we have this tentacle moving 2 here. A new tentacle will spawn here, moving 2 spaces. Oh boy, they're closing in. And unfortunately, we're now starting where there's a fungal spore. So that's going to give us one of these distress. And because our trust is already down at black, we are going to have a negative effect happen. Whenever you can't move trust back, you'll hit this and we have to decrease focus on 2 different dice. Anyone, it can be any of the players. Sophie will decrease her awareness and so will Chad. Let's start with Luna. Let's have Luna move into this space. And come on, we just need 2 materials. Oh my gosh, that's a 2. So we'll place 2 materials there. This is great. First thing that I'm going to do is use the materials we have here to gain 3 focus. So I'm going to increase the pips of each one of my dice. But that means we don't have this materials anymore. Now though, we can use our wonder die here, going back down to a 1, to get our last 2 needed materials. We're then going to process these edibles so we can eat them, taking this, our awareness die down to a 2. We ate all of these materials. Yum, 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 yum. Thank you, Luna, for scanning for them. And then it says when this focus cube is removed from this, we get to draw or reveal the final card, which is our final objective. Now, this is where the advantage of playing this scenario before really helped me. You're going to see I made a lot of optimal choices because I knew what was coming up, and this is one of them. What we're going to do now is use this discharge hormonal blast. An explorer within 1 node of you may take a standard traverse action for free. We're going to spend 1 of these. We know what our final objective is going to be, and that's going to be to get to the scarab. So we are going to have Chad move here. Then we're going to spend another energy so that we can move Luna 1 space, and she's going to move here. Then what we're going to do is use our final data that we have here, and Luna's going to pull an explorer from an adjacent node onto her node, ignoring all node edge symbols. So that means we can pull Sophia onto the ship. Yeah, so knowing to place the laboratory right here, right close to the ship, was because I've played the scenario before. You would not know that the first time that you played, and it could be a lot harder for you to do this. We'll place our final focus die here, increasing it up to a 3. We would need to use time, but I'm not even going to worry about it because we have just won the game. A farewell to many arms. All things considered, what with us still being alive and all, this could have gone worse. Not stickier, couldn't have been stickier, but it could have been worse. That said, it's probably time we try our hand at being alive somewhere else. The tentacle tears continue each turn, spawn 1 and move 2 spaces. Get the crew, Luna and all explorers, onto the scarab. As soon as the crew is aboard, congratulations, you've survived. Yeah, so about this food, we're not really hungry. We survived for now. So there you have it. That was Unsettled. Well, I'm actually really bummed I didn't even get to show you any hallucinations, but you know what? You can explore that on your own when you get to play it. I've never had a playthrough go that well, really. When I played this for my practice play, I got annihilated right when these things started spawning. My laboratory was here. Yeah, so you can see how having that foreknowledge of what you need to do certainly helps you on that second run. That's what the time stories feel. I have no idea what the other ones are going to be like. Hopefully by the time this video goes live, I'm going to be playing at least 2 other tasks for this planet and maybe 1 for another planet. So ask me in the comments if you're curious about how the other ones have gone. I can't tell you now because I haven't tried it, but I will tell you that I am still willing to play this with new people. I would, instead of saying, hey, we should put the laboratory there though, I would let them decide where to put it and have that experience of, oh my gosh, we need to get to the laboratory. But yeah, overall, the production quality, the experience, I absolutely love it. I love the focus dice. It's what makes the game, and the exploration makes the game. And this game isn't about fighting. It's about exploring, gaining experience, using that experience to gain comprehension. With that comprehension, you can do more things. I love the free actions. I mean, I think there's at least 2 or 3 times during this playthrough I couldn't even remember whose turn it was. Oh, I love the opportunity cards. You flip those, you see all these new cool things. Oh my gosh, and each planet that's going to be different. I can't wait. I have a love-hate relationship with this. It makes sense. I understand why they have time. I understand, you don't want to make it too easy. And so I'm okay with that. There are ways, if you want to have more time, you can start with more focus on your dice. That can generally help you with your time. But I just keep going on. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching, as always, and I will see you at the next stop.